Let me tell you, one of the hardest relationship truths that nobody ever told me growing up. Nobody warned me that you can meet the most amazing person. They don't have to be toxic. They don't have to be a manipulator, not a cheater. But here's a caveat. With all those things being said, being amazing as a person and human, they simply don't have the emotional capacity to love you the way that you need to be loved.
Hmm. Luckily, you don't have to deal with that because black men don't cheat. And we're not manipulative. What up, though, family? Welcome back to Table for Two with Mike and Cherie. This is the spot where we serve up the raw truth about marriage with no filters and no chasers.
We're talking trending topics, love, loyalty, and those petty little arguments that start over nothing.
We're not relationship gurus with all the answers.
We're just two people trying not to kill each other while staying in love.
We appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like our content, please hit the like bell and subscribe to get notified when we drop new episodes, y'all. Please do that.
All right. Now that we got that out the way, let's pull up a chair and let's get into it. One of the hardest truths in relationships is realizing that someone could be an absolutely great human, good person all around, but that does not mean that they are meant for you. Just because someone's nice and polite, they open the door for you, they say please and thank you, and do all of the things, does not mean that they are built for a relationship with you. Yeah. Some people are just not for you.
What does that even mean? Like, what do you mean?
That's just saying that they're a great person, but they don't know how to communicate. They may shut down emotionally when it comes to having hard discussions, and they almost like disappear when we have a confrontation or need to discuss something really important.
So, like, all the surface stuff could be cool. Like, he opens the door for me.
Absolutely.
Or, he sends me little gifts or whatever your love
Roses.
languages
Absolutely.
or whatever. But when it gets to the nitty gritty,
He can't gritty.
He can't gritty.
Or she can't gritty.
Or she can't gritty.
Right, because that means taking accountability or apologizing. And some people just do not have the capacity to do that. I think it's a learned skill.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to confuse like good character with compatibility, right?
Right.
Because a person can, like you said, can have all of the great characteristics of a person, but you're just not compatible when it comes down to
the things that really matter.
The bad days, right? When the communication needs to be on point.
Right.
When you got to get down to the gritty.
The gritty.
The gritty.
Not the gritty.
Someone could be a great person and still not be a match for your emotional needs. Not everybody is meant to be a partner.
Right.
Some people are meant just to be a lesson, a chapter, or a story that you laugh about later.
Ooh.
Or maybe like like I said, a chapter in your book, in your journey.
A season.
A season.
A season.
Or 2 seasons.
I don't like lessons, though. I love seasons.
Sometimes it could be
like
10
lessons.
seasons before you figure out that,
Not 10 seasons.
that there's better
That's
seasons.
a lot of seasons. A lot of people say, but they love me. And that might absolutely be true. They're going to love you to what their capacity is. Love is a feeling. Capacity is an ability. So anybody can love you when things are going great. But when you realize that they can't be there for you when things aren't going great because they simply don't have the capacity to do so, that's when things start really panning out and you start to realize that maybe this person, while being an amazing person or a great person, they
kind of
can't
fold
make
under
it
pressure.
to the end. They can't make it to the end of the run.
The gritty.
Yeah, they can't get to the gritty.
So when things get stressful, like when bills come up or when you're arguing about who left the dishes in the sink and they show you that other side.
Right, or somebody loses their job.
Or somebody loses their job or you have some type of traumatic episode or situation in the relationship. How do you handle that?
And it happens. Yeah. And it happens.
Because it's all, flowers and rainbows and dolphins when everything is going
Not
good.
dolphins.
But how do you react when things aren't going so good?
Right.
Right?
Suddenly people's emotional battery drops to 2%.
2%.
And we know that's on like almost dead, right?
It is almost there. You need a charger real quick and you're on 2%.
Correct. And
You
if
know
you
what I
don't
mean?
get that charger, then you're gonna
You-
die.
your battery's going to die.
Your battery's gonna die. Yep.
Some people can love you to the moon and back.
Right.
And you know they are giving their whole 150%. Unfortunately, it might still not be enough.
So how can you be given 150% and it not be enough? You're giving over 100%. How is that possible?
So I'm gonna give an example.
Break that down for me.
I will. I'm gonna break it down. Like we've had conversations, y'all, and this is being like fully transparent. We've had conversations where Ree has told me like, you know, what was that? You gave me an example basically when I was trying to get more emotional intimacy from you, and it's like you were like, well, it's just like asking somebody who's 3 feet tall to grab something off the top shelf in the kitchen and they just can't reach it. And so that was like an issue that we had to go through for a little while, right? And it was a serious thing for me. It just wasn't, I won't say it wasn't serious for you. It just wasn't something that you were able to.
Maybe it wasn't a priority for me because I had never realized what my emotional capacity was. But for you, you extend far greater and far deeper than I did emotionally with conversation, with the emotional intensity and everything.
Yeah.
And I really felt at that time that I'm not even going to say felt. I was giving you my 150%. I was even overreaching, but I still could not get to probably what your 75% was.
Right.
And that was not sustainable for me or for you.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a lesson in that. And that is that relationships, they can survive on what that person has, but they can't survive off of the emotional bursts or the moments of affection, the moments of intensity. It has to be consistency.
Right.
Right.
Agreed.
Not anything that is, I'm not even going to say pretend. We have to just be our authentic selves. But how do you get to that 150% when the other person is thinking that maybe you're only giving 20%? Like, what do you do?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. I don't have an answer for that. And
Right.
There's not one in the script.
Right.
So.
Well, love is great, but if someone disappears emotionally every time things get hard, then that's probably not sustainable. And you guys will have to figure out how to work through that. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Love isn't measured on the good days. Everybody is affectionate when, when they're on vacation, when they're having a good time.
Right.
When everything is sweet, when the bills are paid and the vibes are good.
When we partying and drinking.
Hanging out, yeah.
Yep. But when things get bad or things aren't going actually as smoothly as they should,
Not as fun.
that's when things get rough. And now we see the real relationship.
See the gritty. Yeah.
The gritty. I like it. You see the real relationship.
The real test is how someone shows up when things get uncomfortable. That's
true.
That's the measure of
That's
a person
true.
in your relationship.
That's true.
Because you will have bumpy times and you don't want to be in a relationship where, maybe you do want to be in this type of relationship, but when things get rough, that person either, tucks and runs, or they get like very uneasy, or they shut down, or they blame you, or they don't take accountability for their part. Those things are tough things to deal with when you're in a negative space.
It is. And the reality is that relationships, all of them, are going to go through hard times and they're going to be in negative spaces because that is just life.
Agreed.
And it is very important to know and to pay attention to how someone handles these things. Number one, conflict.
Pay attention to how they
always going to happen
conflict,
in relationships.
Right?
Stress. That's always going to
I'm
happen in
never
relationships.
stressed. I be chilling.
Except when you're not. Okay. When your emotions aren't what they should be, that can happen when things happen. I don't know. It could be a loss of a job. It could be a loss of a parent. It could be anything. I don't even know. It doesn't even have to be losses, not that extreme,
It could
but
just be traumatic. Something
it could
traumatic.
just be
Something that throws you off
something
your
that
square.
is not your everyday thing or
Right.
your everyday situation.
Mhm.
You want to see how somebody handles those things. You want to see how people take accountability for their actions or don't take accountability for their actions, because that is going to drastically change your relationship. Because some people only show up when things are easy. When they get hard, they run. Emotionally, they go to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say that. And even though people have amazing intentions at the beginning of there and say, you know what, I'm going to love you better than you've ever been loved before. I believe that people really mean that.
Yeah.
I believe that people really do feel
In
like
the moment when they
they're
say
going to
it.
love you harder than you've ever loved before, from whatever that capacity is that they have. Because they have probably stretched themselves so far within what their capacity is that they're like, I don't even know what else I can give you. You know, I used to tell you that.
Yeah.
So that was my capacity, and I felt like it was at the breaking point.
She thought she was at 150%.
I didn't think I was at 150%. I was at 150%, but you need 250%. So there's
Negative
that.
150%.
So there's that.
Her battery was inside out. It wasn't just dead. That was inside out.
Whatever.
Here's another
You
truth.
just need a lot. Let's be
Whatever.
honest.
Here's another
Let's be
truth.
honest here. He needs a lot.
Oh, but here's another truth that's hard for people to accept. Someone can mean well. Someone can care about you. Someone can try, and they can still hurt you.
How does that happen? Tell me how that happens. Those all sound like positive things. But I guess the intentions that they have and the impact that they're having on you or not having on you are two different things. Somebody can say, I didn't mean to hurt you, but you're still sitting there like, well,
I'm hurt.
I mean, you did. So now
now
what? Oh, jinx. Okay. So how do we fix that? What do we do?
Pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Effort should lead to improvement, not just explanations. What I mean by that is, if you get into these arguments and the pattern seems the same, they make apologies for what they did, but they don't try and change what they've done, and it's like repeated over and over again,
Right.
then there's no improvement there,
Okay.
right? So there needs to be some improvement behind the apologies. There need to be some change and some effort to change behind the apologies. Without that, the apology just doesn't even mean much.
That's true.
If someone keeps hurting you in the same way over and over again, that's not a mistake anymore. That's a relationship subscription you didn't sign up for.
Not a relationship subscription that you didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you signed up for it, but you forgot about it. You just didn't.
Either way, you need to cancel that.
Not cancel it. Maybe put it on pause.
Put it on pause and then try and work it out. You know what I'm saying? See where you went wrong and go that way. But
I think that all leads us to one very, very important conversation. People's emotional capacity. All right. What does that mean? Well, some people don't have the emotional capacity to have an actual conversation with you. The moment you express how you feel, people shut down, they become defensive, they start to deflect. Not because what you're asking for is unreasonable. Again, and I've experienced this. It's simply because you do not have the emotional capacity to deal with the emotional range that the other person needs. Some people can only handle one emotion at a time. And if that emotion is their own discomfort, then your emotional needs are going to get pushed aside. I remember somebody saying that a person is only as comfortable with your emotions as they are
with their own.
And I guess when we think about it, you think about a person that's always saying like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Well, if they don't want to talk about their own emotions, they're definitely not going to want to talk about yours because it's definitely uncomfortable for them.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I can speak to that as a person who definitely previously didn't want to deal with emotions or was very uncomfortable with those. But in a relationship that starts to make you feel lonely, unseen, unheard, and even though you are technically in a relationship,
Yeah.
it may start to feel like you're in a relationship, not with another person, but maybe only with yourself.
Mm.
So how does someone deal with that? And how long do you deal with that?
I would say for someone who can't hold both of your feelings in their own, emotional maturity means being able to say, I don't like this conversation, but I'm still here.
I
Right?
never thought to say something like
Yeah,
that. I
like
like
this
that.
like is making me uncomfortable, but I'm still
Mhm.
here. I'm gonna stretch myself and I'm gonna
Oh,
try
yeah.
to get through this conversation. Or you might need to step away and come back. That's fine, but as long as you come back, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's important. So if a person says, I don't want to talk about this, or they constantly try to dismiss or deflect, take notes of it and talk to them about it. Because the right partner doesn't disappear when emotions show up. They lean in instead of running away. Even if it means like taking a break and returning to the discomfort.
Okay.
So here's the big lesson. Someone can love you deeply and still not have the capacity to love you the way you need.
And realizing that doesn't make them a bad person. It
doesn't.
doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that they might not be your person. But relationships survive on capacity, effort, and emotional maturity. Period. Point blank.
That's it.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Now here comes our favorite part of the episode.
Drum roll.
The truth comes
You don't give me a
out.
drum roll.
Oh, sorry.
The truth comes out.
Okay. Have you ever thought I loved you, but emotionally I was not even getting close to what you needed?
Yes. I actually felt like you loved me, you cared for me, and you would like run through a brick wall for me, but you couldn't get the one part that was kind of important to me down. But I also understood that it was because of some things that you've been through in the past, some things that we've been through in the past, and how, other things.
Okay. Well, thank you for the explanation and thank you for being truthful about things that was hampering me from giving you my
I don't think it was just
200%.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
I
do
was
you
giving you
have
100.
200?
I was giving you 150.
Here we go with this 150
Always.
capping. Okay.
Always. I'm
All
not
right.
capping.
All right, well, you go ahead. Do the next question.
Have I ever tried to solve your problem when you really just wanted me to listen and agree with your opinion?
Have I ever tried to solve your problem when you really just wanted me to listen and agree with your opinion?
It's possible.
That's a yes. That's a yes. And I had to learn that too. Like now I have to like,
It's not
so
true.
I literally have to with her, if I see her like fumbling, bumbling, stumbling, dropping the bag and all that, I just got to wait for her to ask me for help.
Fumbling, stumbling.
Yeah, like if you
Oh my God.
can't open a jar, for instance, something lighthearted, but if you can't open a
Oh
jar,
my God.
she gonna try and do everything under the sun to open that jar before she asks me to come in.
Yep, run hot water on it and hit the top. Boop, boop, boop. And then we got it. It's
Right,
fine.
exactly. But, or if I try to solve a problem for her before she asks or before she brings it to me, then she'll get upset.
Not upset. Don't say upset. I'm not
What do you
getting
call it?
upset. I would just say, let me try to do it myself first. That's
Even
all.
though she be doing it all wrong.
It's okay. That's not true. I don't want you to try and enable and handicap me. That's
And sometimes when you have issues, you do want me to just listen and not give my opinion, right?
I don't know.
Agree with you.
That's not true. No. I mean, I might get mad if you don't have the same opinion that I do, but you do too. So
No,
there's
there
that.
you go, deflecting. We're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
Okay, whatever.
See what I'm saying?
Let's move on. This is a
Man,
stupid
okay.
conversation.
All right.
If emotional capacity was a phone battery, what percentage do you think I was operating on when we first started dating? Well, I would say maybe in the middle because you didn't know at first.
I'm about to say, and when we first started dating, you was on 100%, dog. You was on go.
I was.
You was on go. And then in the middle,
Maybe middle.
you was probably on about 27%.
Well, all kind of stuff had already happened.
You was on 27%. Yeah.
Okay, 27%.
And now you at about.
Well, that's still.
You at about 60% now. Like, so like if you don't have your phone charger and you got to go out for the day, like you about to run out and do a couple errands or whatever, you know you're going to be safe. Like you can get back, you know what I'm saying, or go to the store and get you a charger before your battery run down. So I'm gonna say you at about 60% charge.
I'm going to say you're at 10%. All right.
All right. So here's the truth. A lot of people don't want to accept someone can love you and still not have the capacity to love you well. A person can be sincere, they can mean well, they can even care about you deeply and still leave you feeling unseen, unheard, and emotionally alone. Because love is a feeling, but relationships require ability, the ability to communicate, to handle conflict, to grow, and to show up when things get uncomfortable. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is admit this. They weren't a bad person. They just weren't the partner that you needed. They weren't the person for you. So stop measuring love by how good things feel when life is easy. Measure it by who stays present when things get hard. Because the right partner doesn't just love you, they have the capacity to show up for you.
Yes.
Right?
Amen. Amen, Brother
All
Montgomery.
right. Yeah. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Table for Two with another couple who needs this conversation. Subscribe for more real relationship tools with zero fluff. This has been Table for Two.
And we'll see you at the next sit down. Peace.
Peace.